that sold me something on eBay that said, hey, it was a handwritten note from a 12-year-old, that said, thank you very much for your purchase. We appreciate it. And it reminded me of when I was 10 years old, except I didn't have eBay and didn't have all these options to buy singles online. So it was refreshing. So it just shows you kind of all generations are
the hobby's exploding and the happiness is absurd. Dustin, get in here. Let's tell, Dustin, Dustin, how much happiness has getting into collecting Pokemon and flipping Pokemon been for you?
Hey, sports card collectors, investors, collectibles investors, thank you very much for joining me today for another video. I'm going to do something a little bit different today, kind of switch it up. I like to have kind of open discussion with my viewership, and when I first started the channel, I said that it's, of course I'm talking to you on camera, but ideally it would be awesome for it to be more of a roundtable discussion. And over the last 4 months, I've built some good relationships with viewers, and it continues to grow. I love all the DMs and everything that comes through, whether it be positive feedback or just like, hey, have you seen this set before? What do you think about these cards? Or do you remember this set from the early 90s? Did you ever have any of these cards? So I've built kind of a hobby family through this channel, and I'm really enjoying it. We've got a little over 2,200 subscribers at this point. And so for all the new people that have joined up over the last few weeks, I did do a video similar to this, I would say maybe a couple of months ago, but I wanted to do something again for new people, but also delve into a few other things that I have not talked about on this channel. So I'm going to start off with that actually. And I guess we can call that the why of this channel, because, some people will ask me what's your long-term plan? What are you, thinking of doing? And so I want to answer that, and I want to kind of give some context. So as many of you know, and with the channel name, The Personal Finance Dad, I am a dad. So, and I have two younger ones, 7 and 5. And my youngest, he has autism. Now, he doesn't have an extreme case of autism. It is a more mild version of it, but he was diagnosed, and so it is something that we're cognizant of, that we're working towards, just trying to make sure that he's okay. But, one thing I noticed when I started making videos is that both of them think that I'm like the coolest because I'm on TV. So, and this might seem kind of small, and actually I didn't really think of it when I started the channel, but, if you're just looking at kind of technology in general where we are today, and YouTube has provided this great platform to where, I can be 80 years old, and if my grandkids say, hey, what was it like back in these days, or what were you doing? I can then point to this channel or whatever medium it ends up being. Maybe it's YouTube, or maybe it's a different platform. But I can say, hey, go check out my stuff. I've got 50 years of videos that are going back, that you can look at. And so I feel like it's awesome, because today, that used to be limited to, Johnny Carson or, Jay Leno or David Letterman or an actor on TV, to where you could say, hey, go and watch my movie or watch the show I was in. Now we are the TV. YouTube provides that platform. We are the podcast. We are the, any of those other platforms, Instagram stories and these things, we drive it. So, and depending on what we're talking about, we might build some popularity, and that's great. But I think the main thing is even if you have no popularity, it's not, you still have that record, for your family moving forward. So, whether it be your kids or even like my dad watches this, and he's thinking, he's probably thinking like, what is this guy doing all day? I know he doesn't fully understand it. My mom too, is watching it on occasion. So, but it's a record of, a record in time that you can pass along. And, I just think that that's really cool that we have that capability today. And so, that is a big driver for me. What is my legacy? This kind of feeds into the midlife crisis videos that I've made prior. And some people take that as a negative, and I understand that. I don't mean that as a negative. I mean it like I'm hitting midlife. Hopefully I live a long life, but I'm going to be 40 next year. And so you start thinking about those things, you know, am I just going to work this job for, 60 years and retire? And how am I going to be remembered? Or how are my kids going to remember me? Or how are my parents or friends, all of those things. So I would just say, I know I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but whether it's sports cards, whether it's, Datsuns or, umbrellas, if there's something that you're passionate about, I would say talk about it, make a record of it. We're kind of in that age where we've got, a phone we've got a camera on our phone, we've got a video camera on our phone, so everything's documented. But this is a fun way to document, and a lot of it is tied into family for me. So as we go back to that why, I could see myself doing this for the rest of my life. For people that hate watching, that don't like watching, they're just kind of watching for no other reason. They might be like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to be, maybe I should unsubscribe now. And that's okay, because I'm not, I'm in it to, build a channel and build a community that I can communicate with. And I think that that's great. I think we can, and it's something that my family can enjoy down the road. So anyway, wanted to get that off my chest. We're talking here about nostalgia stories as far as collectibles go. So my story for newcomers is that I got into collectibles when I was 6-7 years old in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was sports cards and comic books, and it was very, very common for kids back then. It was odd if you were not collecting cards. Everybody was a collector. It seemed like. And so, what got me back into the hobby is, again, I'm hitting kind of midlife. I'm looking back to my childhood. What were those fun times that I had with my friends? And I've been able to reconnect with old friends from childhood over cards, over sports cards. So, that's what got me into it. And I've always been kind of a collector at heart, I think. Not an extreme collector, but I don't know. And what do you guys think? Are collectors born or are they made? I think that I feel like I almost had a gene, kind of a collector gene, and then it built over time, it kind of built up, and so, I got back in because of, I had noticed that everything had changed as far as grading, as far as the way that sets were made with cards, with comic books. They were also being graded now. I mean, now you've got action figures that are graded. So it had kind of matured on, and so I was thinking, like, what, this is really cool. I'm gonna delve into this and see what happens. But I want to know from you all, what got you in, and was it a person, was it like a grandparent that got you in, or were your parents into something? They were collecting things, and whether it's sports cards or records or, I watch a great channel too. There's a guy that does a great channel called Reserved Investments. And I believe that's the name of his channel, but he talks about all things antiques and collectibles. And my parents were really into antiques. But he kind of goes through and he breaks down a lot of different, angles to it and different types of collectibles, like first edition books. I watched a video that he did the other day on first edition books. And it was fantastic because I don't know anything about first edition books, but I could see how people, he brought up, the first edition of The Great Gatsby, was one. And, they don't have grading systems for first edition books, but they do have, there's things that matter, like the dust. I think he called it the dust cover. Essentially, like if a book has got that wraparound piece that covers the book, or if it doesn't, and if it does have that, if it's a first edition Great Gatsby, let's just say, and it does have that dust cover, that extra, the thing that goes around the book, then it's worth a lot more money to collectors and investors. So it's just stuff like that fascinates me. But anyway, he has a great channel. I would recommend taking a peek at that. It's certainly interesting stuff. If you're into just collectibles as a whole, he's got some really good stuff. But I want to hear your story. So please, in the comments, please let me know. And it doesn't matter if it's sports cards, stamps, anything that you collected or that you've gotten back into. I just like to learn about this stuff. So please do so in the comments. And we will go from there, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. I know this was a little bit different of a video, kind of off the cuff. This is more just my thoughts, putting my thoughts on the video and letting, see where it goes as far as viewership. Again, I'm a big part of why I'm in this is to build friends through through the channel that are like-minded, and also just learn a lot. I really like to learn a lot about collectibles, investing in collectibles. And thank you again for joining. We will talk to you again soon. Take care, guys.